What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. Doing a little something different. It's Sunday night, getting ready to watch Sunday Night Football. I figure let's do kind of like a Sunday reaction video or recap of what happened on Sunday because I want to try to tap into this like hype. When the games finish up, you get your results from whatever plays you had, it's crazy endings, and then you start forming ideas about teams like, okay, wow, this team didn't look great today. This team did not look good today. And you start looking at next week. So I'm thinking maybe I do this every Sunday night, much shorter than our normal like we would midweek video. Much shorter. We just talk about a couple of crazy results, how I feel about each team, maybe some takeaways, and it might be a fun thing that we can go back and forth with each Sunday night. So I'm gonna start doing this. Tuesday market review will be up as usual, and then I'm also considering doing a video later in the week where we kind of do like a fine once the market settles a little bit, maybe on Friday, and do kind of like a final recap and then give you some best bets in that video because I know you guys want more picks. Like in the Tuesday market review last week, I gave you guys a couple of my picks that I had, but it would be nice to do an actual video with like, all right, the market's settled now. Here's my favorite play kind of thing. So that's coming. We're working on it. But for this video, let's just recap Sunday. We'll go through each game and just talk about, a little something or that I took away from it or kind of what happened. There's some games I'm going to have no thoughts on. Myself personally went 3-1 today. So coming off the 5-0 Sunday last week, I was hoping for the 4-0 today. We did win on Thursday we just had one prop on Thursday Night Football. So we went 3-1 today. The Raiders at the end of the game blew what would have been the sweep, but that's okay. We'll take 3-1. And we have a teaser pending for tonight and tomorrow. We need the Packers and the Broncos to just win outright to finish off a 5-1 week. The London game, I didn't really have many thoughts on. Vikings Steelers. To me, I stayed away from that, even though I kind of leaned Minnesota. I told you guys in the video, but I stayed away from it. I didn't put any money on it because it's like, what do you expect from the backup? Like this always happens with the backup angle. The backup starts. We saw this twice today, by the way, with Wentz and Mariota. The backup comes in and starts their first game. They look great, especially when they're at home. And everyone's like, yeah, well, not much of a drop off, et cetera, et cetera. And then the second game comes around and the other team has some film on them and things go way different. And then you find out why they're a backup. So the Vikings offense did not look good today. The Steelers came to play, give them credit. They win the game outright. Not much to me. To me, that's two mediocre teams. No result is going to surprise me. And which is just a 2-point spread, right? So it's not really anything crazy. Commanders, Falcons. Falcons get a big win at home. They put up a donut last week, 34 points this week. We discussed that. I told you guys in last week's review how that was one of my favorite spots of the week. I had the Falcons teased with the Texans. So, for me, that's exactly what I expected from the Falcons. Washington actually kept it like they were in that game. Mariota made some nice throws. I thought the Falcons would maybe even pull away and make it even more comfortable. I mean, they were up by 2 touchdowns in the second half, but nothing surprised for me. That is just your classic, typical spot. You don't want to play those. You don't want to go crazy playing those. But when you see a spot like that, when a team gets shut out one week, the other team's coming off a big win, you definitely gotta at least jump in. And the fact that we got the early 2.5, teased it up to 8.5 as a home dog, and then the line ends up closing at -2.5. I mean, that's why you bet early right there, right? That is literally why you do it. The big upset of the day was Giants Chargers. All right. I've been talking every market review I've been talking every week about how much I love the Chargers team. Bet them all 3 weeks so far. Okay. Oh, sorry, the 2. I stayed away from the Brazil game, but I bet them 2 straight weeks, big plays. They came through both, but I stayed away this week because it just was one of those spots. Now, I don't trust the Giants enough to jump in on them, but to me, it was a clear stay away game. The Chargers off of 3 straight divisional wins, coming into this one a little banged up on the road against a team starting a new rookie quarterback that desperately needs a win. Way too many variables, high variance stuff in that game. And the Giants end up holding on. And look, for a second there, when it was 10-13 at the half, I'm like, all right, here we go. The Chargers will take over in the second half, and they'll maybe not cover, but they'll win the game. But the Giants hung in there. Give them credit. Give the defense credit. The injuries to the Chargers offensive line look to be, brutal. It's tough. It's going to be tough. And they go back home next week to play Washington. Daniels should be back for that game, so that's going to be a tough one for them. But good win for the Giants. One thing that I will say is don't get fooled. We just talked about the backup quarterback thing. The second game, Dart plays well in his first game. That lack of familiarity kind of aids that a little bit. Guess what he's got next week? He's going on the road to play the Saints as a road favorite, rookie quarterback, road favorite, off of his first win in the NFL as a big dog, upset at home, now playing another team that is winless at home and desperately wants to win, and that team just hung with the Buffalo Bills on the road. Listen, I don't gotta tell you, if you've been watching me long enough, or if you're, if you get NFL football, the Saints will probably win that game, and everybody will get fooled by the whole dart season thing and everything. So, we'll just watch out for that. That's all I'm going to say. Titans, Texans, man, the Tennessee Titans are now clearly the worst team in the NFL. I don't have the Saints as my dead last team in my ratings anymore. It's the Titans now. The Texans get a much needed win. They put some points up on the board, although it took them quite a while to get going on offense. But this is what I mean by bad offenses. Like when I talked about Houston last week, how this could quickly spiral, you're seeing it for the Titans. When the offense can't put up points, it bleeds your defense out. They get so fatigued. And then they ended up they couldn't keep it up. They were playing well in the first half, 6-0 after the first half, and they just couldn't keep it up. They cannot continue to keep getting stops if your offense can't do anything. I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised with how Cam Ward has looked so far this season. I really thought he'd be sharper a little bit. I mean, I know he doesn't have great weapons around him, but I am surprised that it's looked this dreadful for the Titans. And to me, I know he's got talent. I've watched that kid a lot in college. I think Callahan's a terrible head coach, and I think he's going to have to go sooner rather than later. And I'll tell you, I'll add this on top of it. The week that he goes is the week I'm going to look to bet on the Titans. Preferably if it's usually smart organizations do this. They'll fire the head coach ahead of a home game, so you don't have to travel. So if he gets fired and the Titans are at home in the next game, probably going to be a dog because they're the worst team in the league. That's the game that I might jump in on the Titans because they'll get that dead cat bounce. Okay, Eagles, Buccaneers, man, this was a wild one. I gave you guys the Eagles -3 early in the week last week, closed 3.5. That ended up being a solid bet. We cash it. It was a blowout. The game was basically over at halftime. And then, of course, the Buccaneers do what they do. Baker and his just basically a luck box. They come all the way back, convert a bunch of fourth downs, makes a couple wild throws. But he finally got burned for those plays. He had that scramble out where he threw that pick into the end zone. Didn't need to throw that ball. It wasn't fourth down or anything like that. Finally, the reckless shenanigans got punished a little bit. And the Eagles obviously eventually get the stop and win the game. So they're able to hold on. It wasn't pretty, but it was hot. They looked a little fatigued in the second half. But this was finally, one obstacle too many to overcome for the Bucs, and they get their first loss of the season, but no surprise for me there. The Patriots bludgeoned the Panthers 42-13 is the final score. Again, not much to be said there. The Panthers are basically, I think I can comfortably say in my lifetime, at least, they're the worst road team I've ever seen going back to last season. I mean, they just, you beat a team 30-0 at home, then you go on the road and you give up 42 points. They're so bad on the road. It's unbelievable. And this is, by the way, going to make people think the Patriots are better than they are. Don't inflate the Patriots in your ratings. They're not that good. Bills hang on against the Saints 31-19. They win, but do not cover that huge 15-point spread. Credit to the Saints, man. The Saints were right there. I was a little surprised. I know Buffalo didn't really have to do anything special to win this game, but I was surprised that it was that close in the fourth quarter. I mean, this was a one-possession game in the fourth quarter, and the Saints had the ball with a chance to take the lead. That's a little scary if you're a Bills fan. I don't love their defense to begin with, but I would have thought in this game that the offense would have just done everything it needed to do so that it didn't have to be that close in the end, but it was. But hey, they ended up getting the stop that they need. And when they needed a score at the end of the game, when it was a one-possession game and they needed a score, they drove right down and got an easy score. So to me, they were just holding back a little bit. Maybe you don't want to show too much, but they ended up winning the game. The Saints, though, they're competing. Got to give them credit. I think next week, like I said, against the Giants could be their chance to get their first win. Lions take care of the Browns 34-10. Again, not much for me there. The Browns offense is going to continue to have these issues. The defense is good, but again, first of all, the Lions look like the best offense in the NFL once again. I think they are. And the Browns defense, as good as it is, you're just not going to hold those guys down for too long. You got to put up points against that team. So they really just had no shot with Flacco. I mean, Flacco's eventually, you got to do something, man. The defense is so good, especially when they're at home, that it's going to be hard for you to win games if you keep Flacco out there. And we knew this coming into the season. We knew we were just going to start the first few games probably before we see Gabriel, or maybe eventually we see Shador Sanders. But you can't keep this up if you're the Browns. You got to put someone else in. Easy win for the Lions. Jaguars 26, 49ers 21. Not a little surprised. I thought the Niners should have won this game. Purdy did not play well. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I guess he's fully healthy now, but they just didn't look good. He threw 2 picks. The Jaguars came in hyped. They looked good. They have now won 2 games in a row. The defense looked solid against the run. I wasn't super impressed with the win over the Texans last week. This is a good step forward. I don't know. I mean, Liam Cohen, he's doing well. He's doing some good things with them. They looked good offensively. Lawrence made some great plays. You know, they look good. It's not a 26-21 final. The Niners were trying to come back at the end. Just too much to overcome. They just did not play well. And you know what? I like the Niners. I have a win future on their win total, but they're just not good as home favorites. As home chalk, Shanahan has not been good. You want to play them as dogs primarily, and primarily as road chalk is when he's really good. Laying points on the road is when he excels. So, Colts versus Rams. Oh man, Rams 27, Colts 20. This was my lucky win of the day. And listen, I ain't giving it back because I've had plenty of bad beats. Some people say you got lucky. This was my 2-unit play, by the way. I gave you guys last week. I said I love the spot for the Rams -3.5. Got it at -105. I'm not giving it back just because it was a fortunate win. I've had plenty of games not go my way at the end. And honestly, the way I look at it is, listen, I picked a good team at home against a team that I thought was overachieving a bit, and it came to fruition in the end. I don't even really think it's that much of a lucky win, guys. I mean, 27-20 just because they were down a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Okay, but you know what? You know what average teams do, or slightly above average teams that are closer to average than elites? What do? They find ways to give you the game. And what do good teams do? They take those opportunities when you give it to them. They find ways to win. And to me, I just see a good team found a way to win, and a average team found a way to blow the game. That's all I see there. So not a super surprising result. Rams win, Rams cover by the skin of their, basically in crunch time at the end, but it is what it is. I thought, the Colts did look good though, I will say. Up until the fourth quarter, they did play a good game. That touchdown they gave away with the celebration though was brutal. Bears, excuse me. Bears 25, Raiders 24. I just don't know how you lose this game if you're Vegas. Genti runs for what? Almost 200 yards on the ground? Crosby gets a pick. He's in the backfield all day. What is going on? You got everything you needed in this game if you're Vegas, and then you get into field goal range at the end and the kick gets blocked. What is with all these blocked kicks? I almost kind of feel like maybe the league internally has figured something out, like teams have maybe figured something out to get more blocks, and we're just not caught onto it yet as the public. Because how are all these kicks being blocked? It's insane. I had the Raiders to finish off the sweep, just needed them to win in a moneyline parlay. It was our smallest play, but still, I just don't know how you lose that game. I mean, it seems like everything went the way you needed it to go in that game, and you still lost. Now they got to go to Indy next week against a Colts team that just lost. Good luck. The Raiders look doomed. All right, Chiefs 37, Ravens 20. Wow. We know both of these teams are really good, but this was a little bit of a surprise. The Baltimore offense, the defense got criticism last week. We know that it's not great. They're banged up. We know Orr is not a great DC. But what's with the offense this week? I'll give them a little bit of a pass because the Chiefs have their number. The Chiefs always beat them. But man, could you imagine Mahomes? Mahomes is this game to me was almost like, hey, reminder, right? Like Mahomes is a home dog to Lamar Jackson. Like reminder who the GOAT is, who's the best player in the NFL. Like reminder, right? It's Mahomes. Imagine when this offense is healthy, what this guy's going to be doing. Impressive win by Kansas City at home as a dog. And to me, this just speaks to a broader picture, which is like there is no clear number one right now. Like I had the Ravens top of my power ratings. Most cappers you talk to are going to have them in the top spot. I know a couple of guys that have them 2 points better than any other team. I think that's way out the window at this point. There's no clear top team. I think you probably have a half point separating like Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Lions, and now you got to throw the Chiefs back in there. So just a really impressive win for Kansas City, and the Ravens, man, very, very tough loss. Now sitting at 1-3, especially because the Steelers won. They're sitting at 3-1. I know it's not a great division, but you got to chip away at some point. Now you're 2 games back, and there's not the season. It goes. You got to get it going. So Ravens, I think, are in a little bit of trouble. All right, that was the slate, guys. I'm going to be watching Sunday Night Football here. We need the Packers. We need the Broncos tomorrow night, and that'll wrap up the week for us. But hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know down in the comments. I will do one every Sunday night. I'll come on, tell you about my wins, tell you about my losses, talk a little bit about each game, and we can go back and forth in the comments and have some fun. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for the market review for week 5. Thanks, as always, for watching. I'll see you next time.